There are essential factors. For instance, to drink coffee. I must have coffee that I paid for already. It is reasonable. But when it comes to prove of criminal behavior, this reasonable cause and effect relationship press and arrest the case more than any external pressure. In easy words, we need stolen goods to prove robbery. And if we want to prove a kidnap case, the presence of kidnapper and kidnappee is essential. Therefore, to prove murder, we need body. The Eighth Amendment is connected to presumption of innocence until the prosecutor proves the defendant's guilty. Regarding that charge, a defendant has the right to be presumed innocent. To punish or to be punished, we need proof. We feel sorry for this indivisible imbalance status. Mr. Myung-Chul Kim was an MC of a corporate training event. As his father was a pastor, his name came from the Bible's word Myung-Chul, meaning wisdom. He had a bulky build, enough to play as an amateur basketball player, and that Myung-Chul's fiancée was Miss Lee. Let's call her Fiancée Lee. She's the only female who's connected directly to the case. And this guy's name is Kwon-Kyu Lee. Let's just call him Lee. Lee told people that he's doing financial business. Fancy suits, luxury sedan, lots of cash. Obviously, he looks like a rich guy. In 1993, Lee and his twin brother killed a stationery owner in 7th grade, a middle school freshman at that time. Lee said he was doing financial business, but what he really did was insurance fraud, intentionally hit old men for money. On June 12, 2010, during the 2010 FIFA World Cup South Africa, it was the match day of South Korea versus Greece. Fiancée Lee arranged a meeting between Myung-Chul and Lee. It was possible because she was a friend of Lee and knew him very well. The reason for this meeting was Myung-Chul getting a huge contract. Lee says he knows Mr. Che, who is in charge of a huge corporate training program. Lee suggested Myung-Chul meet Mr. Che together. Myung-Chul could not doubt this. His fiancée arranged this meeting, and Lee was her friend. Lee's attitude was friendly, and he did not ask for a kickback, a bribe. Myung-Chul thought this was a chance in a lifetime. He was so excited to make a fortune before the wedding, thinking it's a gift from God, because Lee's explanation was smooth, very smooth. There's a big corporate training arranged by Mr. Che. The amount is more than your annual salary. Don't even think about commission. Consider this is my gift for your wedding. Myung-Chul accepts this generous gift. Everyone, in a business contract or bridge a connection, if there is no commission, we can't just say, "Hey, thank you so much for introducing this important guy to me. Bye-bye." There is a Latin quid pro quo. If you receive something beneficial, you have to pay or give something to him. So, Myung-Chul will be introduced to a very important person, and Lee does not want his commission. Then there is a high chance that Myung-Chul has to treat them to a very expensive restaurant in a fancy bar. It will cost a lot. So he was worried about his credit card limits. Luckily, his fiancée lends him her credit card with a higher limit. Now everything is set and good to go. Myung-Chul promised his fiancée that after this meeting, let's cheer together for South Korea's winning. After a deep breath, he went to the meeting. After a while, Myung-Chul was seen on a CCTV above an ATM. He withdraws money with his fiancée's credit card. That was the last photograph of Myung-Chul. He just vanished like that. Let's get deeper into this part. He borrowed a higher limit credit card. It means that he would use a credit card for paying whatever's on that important meeting. But instead of paying with that credit card, Myung-Chul went to ATM for cash withdrawal. Cash advance with a credit card? Lee did not ask for a commission. Then Mr. Che requests a kickback. Money as soon as they meet? Judging by common sense, this is not possible. With this last withdrawal, Myung-Chul has vanished. Myung-Chul's family reported to the police and an investigation started. At first, the police found out that Myung-Chul sent text messages to his family and fiancée. As you can see on the screen, the first message was to his fiancée. It is written, "I heard all of your past from Lee. I am seeing someone. Our relationship ends here." Fiancée was, "What?" But this is not all. A few minutes later, there was a phone call from Myung-chul. Fiancée Miss Lee got the phone. But it was not Myung-chul's voice. Shockingly, it was a woman mentioned in Myung-chul's message just now. She said, "Myung-chul is having hard times because of you, so he will lose contact and disappear for now." And then we hung up the phone. The second message was to his mother. The point is that because of debt, he will be disappeared. The third message was to Lee. The message was, "I will repay the debt, so please do not sue me." 3 things are strange so far. Firstly, who was that lady on the phone? No one knew or heard about her. And everyone agrees that Myung-chul is not that kind of person. Secondly, Myung-chul went to the meeting to get a huge contract. It was his first time to meet the person in charge, Mr. Che. No one asks for a bribe or kickback on the first meeting. And the amount of money of credit card cash advance was too small for a bribe. Rationally thinking, Mr. Che and Lee intentionally sent Myung-chul to ATM for another purpose, not because of the money. Thirdly, let's compare these messages to Myung-chul's original message style. Something is odd. I believe we are thinking the same thing. Spacing words. There's not a single spacing in his last 3 messages. Myung-chul's family and fiancé show Myung-chul's original writing style. They are right. These messages are not from Myung-chul. With these facts and circumstances, the police agreed that this is not a simple missing person case. Now, police speed up the investigation. Any investigation starts with the last person who contacts him. That was Lee. Lee said, "When I met Myung-chul, he borrowed $27,000 from me for urgent business purposes, and then he collateralized his car and borrowed $22,000 more from me. After that, Myung-chul said he had another appointment, so we ended our meeting and left. But there is an odd thing here. At that time, he had no reason to borrow such a lot of money. It was total $49,000, but he had no financial problem. Except for a small amount of student loan, he had no debt. That kind of person borrows $49,000? The police started to have doubts about Lee and tracked Myung-chul's cell phone signals. Those 3 messages and the last phone call from a woman were all arranged near Myung-chul and Lee's last meeting place with Mr. Che. So Lee was the last person with Myung-chul. Police now have circumstantial evidence. They started indirect inquiry on people, asking people for more clues and testimonies. Multiple merchants witnessed Myung-chul was unconsciously drunk and rode on Lee's back, and Mr. Che was with them. The police started an interview with Mr. Che. Surprisingly, Mr. Che was not in charge of the huge corporate training program. He was just a delivery man. Then, obviously, Lee was together with Mr. Che. Lee fooled Mr. Che and used him as bait to lure Myung-chul. Not only this, but those 3 messages were also staged by Lee's criminal group, pretending he was Myung-chul. And there was no huge corporate training program. Even the corporation name was fake. The police found out and confirmed that those were not facts, but lies from Lee's mouth. There's an even more strange thing. Compared to the used car market, Myung-chul's car is only worth $11,500. And with this car, Lee lent him $22,500? That is not possible. We now have circumstantial evidence and indirect evidence, but we need more. Somehow Lee was very busy a few days before Myung-chul's disappearance. Lee went to the real estate office and asked for a specific office. 1. No problem using tons of water. 2. Require very noisy surroundings. The real estate broker recommended 1 office. It was on the first floor, no problem with using tons of water, and the basement was a dancing school, a noisy place for the whole day. Lee was satisfied and signed the contract right after his explanation. Later, merchants in that building were embarrassed to see the water expense bill because water expense doubled compared to last month. Somebody used water 40 tons more in a month, and it was Lee. And one piece of evidence has been found. Lee dumped his office sofa on the day Myung-chul disappeared, but unfortunately, his neighbor brought the sofa to his store and used it. A few days later, he saw the blood inside it and reported it to the police. Now we have proof. False testimony and circumstantial evidence. Then Lee changed his statement. Yes, I accidentally hit that man, and yes, there was a problem between us, but I did not kill him. The court judged Lee has no direct motive and proof to kill Myung-chul. Later, the court sentenced only 7 years in prison charged for abduction, confinement, and assault, because the police could not find his body. No body, no direct evidence, because it is not a murder case anymore. The court judged that Myung-chul had disappeared, not murdered. There was a delivery man who often wrote about his friend, the delivery man's mysterious death. At that time, no one listened to him, even though he wrote all the details and even specified the names of suspicious people who will take $1.5 million for insurance. But when the media spread this case nationwide, people saw Lee's name and reported it to the police. While Lee was serving his time in prison, another trial was open. This time, Lee was sentenced to a lifetime in prison. This second case is somewhat connected to Myung-chul's case. Let's get a little deeper into this case. There was an insurance sales team, and fiancée Miss Lee joined the team as a new member. As fiancée Miss Lee was an attractive person, the team leader doubled his efforts to make her ace of the team. They got close, and fiancée Lee made up her mind to ask Lee to buy insurance. But Lee says bizarre things. I have many insurances, so that is fine with me. But as Miss Lee asking me, I will buy 3 insurance for my employee Pak. 3 insurances, total death benefit of $1.5 million. Are you satisfied, Miss Lee? Everyone, as you know, an insurance subscription needs 3 people. 1. The insured person and contractor. In this case, it's Pak. 2. Paying person. It's Lee. 3. A beneficiary who will receive the insurance money. It's Pak's parents. To contract insurances with a total amount of $1.5 million, insurances will cost him $1,400 per month, and Pak's income was $900. Do you think this is possible? It was possible. The insurance team was desperate, so they fabricated Pak's monthly salary to $2,500, and Lee actually paid Pak $2,500 that month. When a crime occurs, the person who gets the most benefit is usually the prime suspect. Miss Lee was awarded Top Salesman of the Month. She is suspicious. A few months later, suddenly, Pak called the insurance company and asked to change the beneficiary to Lee's brother. The insurance company checked Pak's social security numbers and all the personal information, but they found no error. So they changed his insurance beneficiary to Lee's brother. But everyone, Pak was not the one who called the insurance company. It was Lee's twin brother. He pretended to be Pak and called the insurance company with all the personal information of Pak. Now when Pak is dead, the insurance company will deposit $1.5 million to Lee's brother. And it really happened. Pak died, just 550 yards, 500 meters, from the place where Myung-chul went missing. Anyway, the Lee brothers are undoubtedly related to both cases, Pak's death and Myung-chul's disappearance. Lee has sentenced to life in prison, and his twin brother got 20 years in prison. Now we know all the general facts of this case. Let's get deeper into the fiancée, Miss Lee. The investigation report shows a shocking result. Myung-chul, fiancée Miss Lee, and Lee knew each other for 5 years. As you can see in the picture, they often gather and have fun together. There is one more woman other than fiancée Lee. She is the leader of the insurance team that fiancée Lee joined. Mr. Kwon-kyu Lee gave many presents to that insurance team leader to take good care of Miss Lee. I need you to focus on this part. Lee and Miss Lee were friends from the first place. Lee had a poker face, and since he had a murder record, women avoid him or did not show their genuine facial expressions. But Miss Lee was different. Her personality is like Mandy Moore. Lee loved Miss Lee so much that he even converted to Protestant. But the pastor of that church was Myung-chul's father. Myung-chul and Miss Lee soon became lovers. Lee did not care about it. he constantly gave expensive presents to Miss Lee. The strange thing is, Miss Lee did not refuse Lee's presents, and Myung-chul did not say anything about it. Everyone, in this case, let's separate Miss Lee, whether she is a good person or she is the mastermind and pretending to be a good person. Firstly, if she is the mastermind behind all this, she must not go to the police station every day for 6 months after her fiancé disappeared, which she did for 6 months. Secondly, what is her benefit to all this? I checked Myung-chul's insurance, but the amount was small, and she was not the beneficiary. No financial benefits to Miss Lee. Thirdly, she voluntarily provided all the information regarding her cell phone, consent to review her telecommunication record, and so on. Miss Lee seems to be a good person with those facts, but we cannot erase her name from the suspect list only with these facts. It depends on the crime motive. Let's assume the motive is to sell Myung-chul's organs for money. For instance, the cornea can be cold storage for a maximum of 7 days, but not expensive. On the other hand, the liver is expensive, but the maximum cold storage duration is less than a day. But it requires a DNA test, blood test, urine test, psychiatric test, excrement test, X-ray, EGG test, and CT scan. Therefore, it is impossible to sell expensive organs like that. On the other hand, the crime motive could be jealousy. Among indirect inquiries, Kwon-kyu Lee indeed loved Myung-chul's fiancée, Miss Lee. Lee was thinking about when to confess his love towards her, but suddenly, Myung-chul appeared, and they became a couple. Not only that, they have announced they are engaged. When police were asking people for clues, many of them said the same thing. Lee is the one who did this because he was jealous. Then what about the fiancée, Miss Lee? A lot of people also said she was suspicious. But surprisingly, Myung-chul's bereaved families defended her that she had nothing to do with this crime. Circumstantial evidence tells us that Myung-chul had been murdered. Now we need to find his body. Let's go together to the crime scene. Let's see some bloodstains at the crime scene. This pattern is called spatter stain. You have heard about blood elongation in our first episode, Riddle of Missing Wrists. Elongation is a drop of blood, but spatter is blood flew to the wall or other spot. That is the point. If Myung-chul was assaulted or stabbed when he was standing, as gravity dragged the flying blood to the ground, it flies a curved line and must make blood elongation. But there is no blood elongation. No blood elongation? It means the blood flew almost a straight line to the wall. Straight? Bloodstains were 8 to 12 inches, 20 to 30 centimeters high from the ground. It means that Myung-chul was laying down when this crime occurred. It is evident that Lee mutilated the body and drained the blood out to lighten it. Lee rented a car, and his group moved with it to disposal. They stayed at a waste disposal plant for 30 minutes and went to a riverside. The CSI investigated those 2 places but found no trace of the body. We can speculate that the criminals went to the waste disposal plant as planned. But when they actually get there, they felt that it is not safe to dispose of it here, so they turned the handle to the riverside. Because of the World Cup, there were no people there. They felt relieved and finished the disposal. Then this is murder without a body. Obviously, the Justice Department did not admit this case as a murder case. But there are dozens of cases which sentenced murder conviction without a body. Like what happened in December 1999 and issued in Scotland. The infamous case of murder in the Margaret Fleming. Her body was not found, but convicted murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. During Lee's trial, his hidden behaviors were found. 1. Lee heard Myung-chul and fiancée Miss Lee's family would soon meet and discuss marriage. Lee contracts the office right the next day. 2. Lee lured delivery man Mr. Che to act as a huge corporate event man. 3. Lee visited 3 hospitals for sleeping pills. Doctors can't prescribe strong medicine from the first visit. Lee knew it. That's why he visited 3 hospitals to gather more sleeping pills. 4. Lee rented a car the day before the murder. This case still remains unsolved to this day.